Iteration. So iterating over the rows and columns. So how can you iterate over the rows and columns? So for iterating over the rows, we have the function iterrows, and for iterating over the columns, we have the function iteritems. So these are the two functions that you have to study for. So first one is iterating over rows. For iterating over rows, we know the function is iterrows. So you can expect these kind of questions either for 2-mark question or for MCQs you can expect out. So iterating over the rows means that we know the first row is this one, and this is our second row in the case of this data frame. So first row iterating means that I have to go through each and every values in each row. So this is the first row. I have to see like in each row, first row I have the roll number 1, I have roll number A, I have marks as 23. You have to display each of these values. For this we have iterrows function. Now how it has been done. Now this much part means that data frame is being created. How a data frame can be created. So this much part is the one where we have to consider for this one. That means how each row's value can be displayed out. This is how it goes. For I comma j, any variable you can use I comma j in df dot iterrows. We know that data frame is being created inside df in this code. So how can you call this function? Data frame dot iterrows, and this function has to be put. Function bracket has to be put. Now when you are calling out this function, namely two values will get. One represents the row and another represents the row value. So if I am printing I, what happens? I is being printed means first row is being printed up. Now if I am printing j for the first iteration, all the values in the first row is being displayed. We know that first roll is 1, name is A, marks is 23. Next iteration, again when for loop iterate for the next time. Now here again I and j becomes, I'm printing again I and j inside for loop for the next iteration. There the I becomes the second row and j becomes all the values inside the first row. We know that in the second row, these are the values we are having in the second row. So definitely each value will be displayed. That means row 2, name B and marks 45 will be displayed as such. So this is how we will iterate over the rows. Then we shall see how we will be iterating over the columns. Now how can you iterate over the columns? Similar example we are taking. So this is how we will create out the data frames again. So this much partly we have to consider for iterating over the columns. Column in the sense like our first column is roll, our second column is name, and our third column is marks. So for loop, how long it takes place? We'll be having 3 iterations. In the first iterations, all the first row will be displayed. In the second iterations, all the second column will be displayed, and in the third iterations, all the third column will be displayed. So here too we have to call iteritems. So data frame dot iteritems along with this function bracket. So here too normally this function helps us to retrieve 2 values. One is like the name of the column, another one is like the values of the column. So I comma j. So when I'm printing first iteration, print I, so roll get displayed. Now j, if I am printing, so all the values of rolls, that means 1 and 2 will get displayed. When the second iteration, I and j becomes, I becomes name and j becomes A and B, because in the second column we have A and B. And third iteration, in I and j, I becomes marks and j has a value 23 and 45. This is how it goes. Now this it is not necessary that always I have to give I and j. This also works fine like with a single variable, like for I alone I can give, and this for loop goes out like for I in df dot iteritems. So if I am trying to print I alone, means that what happens is like, so all the values get stored inside the I rather than splitting up into I and j. So when I am giving like for I in data frame dot iteratem, what happens? all this value get printed up in a single steps. That means in a bracket it will get printed up like roll, comma, all the values. That means 0th row I have 1, first row I have the value 2. So this is the first one. For second ith value, similar way, name and its corresponding values will get displayed. So this is how it goes. So this is how iteration happens. So iteration is there for your syllabus. So try to study all those portions from the iterations. Thank you.